In medieval Europe, most punishments were meant to be seen. Markets, bridges, and church doors became courts in the open air. Fines, shaming, scars, and pain all taught lessons about rank and order. In this video, we will discuss 8 unusual punishments that show how justice and spectacle were closely linked across towns and kingdoms. The first punishment takes us to the water's edge, where the cucking or ducking stool waits for townspeople. A wooden chair was fixed to a beam so it could be wheeled through streets and tipped over a river or pond. Women accused of scolding or gossip and tradespeople suspected of cheating customers might be strapped in while neighbors watched. The ducking was brief, but the laughter, shouting, and ridicule could last. It was shame, not cold water, that did most of the work. Another strange device was the scold's bridle, an iron frame meant to silence rather than wound. It closed around the head and locked under the chin, with a plate or spike pressing on the tongue so that speech became painful. Most wearers were women accused of quarreling or gossiping about neighbors. They could be led through streets or fixed beside the marketplace, unable to wipe away drool or answer jeers. This punishment targeted words, not stolen goods, treating speech itself as a kind of threat. A third punishment fastened people in wood, leaving them to the judgment of passers-by. The pillory held head and hands upright, while stocks clamped the ankles near the ground in squares and beside churches. Bakers who cheated on weights, butchers with bad meat, and drunkards could find themselves locked in place for hours. Rain, sun, insects, and body weight caused discomfort. Worse still were missiles from the crowd, from rotten food to stones. Here, public anger became part of the formal sentence. For the gravest crimes, some regions used a harsher device, the breaking wheel. In Central Europe, murderers and robbers could be sentenced to this slow destruction. The condemned was tied to a board, while an executioner smashed arms and legs with a wheel or iron bar. Afterwards, the broken limbs were threaded through the spokes, and the body was raised on a post at a crossroads or town boundary. Birds, weather, and passing eyes showed that some offenses brought more than a quick death. A different kind of punishment linked judgment directly to divine will through ordeals. Before juries and written records became normal, some courts used hot iron or boiling water to settle cases. The accused carried a heated bar or reached into a cauldron. Then the burn was bound and inspected a few days later. A clean wound could be read as a sign of innocence. In a water ordeal, the person was lowered into a pit or stream, and sinking or floating was treated as God's verdict. Not all penalties aimed to injure. Some tried to humble the body to correct the soul. In parts of France and neighboring regions, offenders might perform a public penance called an amende honorable. They appeared barefoot in a shirt, sometimes with a rope around the neck and a candle in hand, before a church door or civic hall. There, they asked pardon from God, the ruler, and the community. This ritual might stand alone or accompany harsher sentences. Clothing, posture, and words turned apology into a staged event. Some punishments tried to make the offense visible through cuts and marks on the body. In several kingdoms, repeat thieves, coin clippers, or false witnesses could lose ears, noses, fingers, or even hands under written law. Branding irons scored letters or symbols into faces and shoulders so that anyone could see an old conviction at a glance. These scars might bar a person from guilds, regular wages, or safe lodging. Infection, stiffness, and long-term pain were likely. Here, the sentence continued long after the judge and court were gone. The final punishment moved a person beyond protection rather than into a cell or a grave. To be declared an outlaw in parts of Europe was to lose the shield of law entirely. Property could be seized, and those who helped the fugitive risked fines of their own. Many outlaws turned to banditry in the woods or borderlands, while others tried to build new lives in distant towns. Lesser sentences expelled people from a single city or guild. Exclusion from the legal community was treated as a deep and frightening blow. These punishments reveal how shame, pain, and display shaped order in the past. Subscribe if you would like more explorations of medieval justice and life.